My daughter dropped off her 5-year-old autistic son at my doorstep and vanished. That happened 11 years back. I brought up Tavon on my own. Folks kept saying he'd never make it. Too unusual, too challenging. They couldn't have been more mistaken. At 16, he developed an app valued at $3.2 million. Soon after, his achievement hit the headlines. A couple of weeks passed, and my doorbell chimed. Bianca, my daughter, was there with an attorney and paperwork insisting she'd been part of his life all along. Guardianship forms, bank statements, visitation records, all fabrications, yet they appeared legitimate. Our attorney examined them and warned that without evidence of forgery, we could lose the case. I was terrified. Tavon stayed composed. He bent close and murmured, "Let her speak." I gaped at him. We stood on the brink of losing it all, and he urged me to let her continue with her deceptions, but he remained serene, observing, and I had no clue what he had in mind. My name is Aubrey Tate. I'm 68 years old, a black woman with deep brown skin, silver-streaked coils of hair that I often pin back, and features that reflect my African-American heritage, full lips, high cheekbones, and eyes that have seen decades of struggle and triumph. This is my story. Bianca arrived on a crisp Friday in November 2010 with Tavon in a single duffel bag. "Just for the weekend, Mama," she said at my entrance. "I could use some time off, please." Tavon lingered next to her, 5 years old, fixated on the wooden planks of the porch. He swayed gently from heels to toes, his palms pressed over his ears despite the quiet around us. "Bianca, what's going on? I'll ring you Sunday." She was already pivoting, striding quickly to her vehicle. She didn't embrace Tavon, didn't plant a farewell kiss, just departed. I observed her brake lights fade along the road. Tavon continued swaying. I'd spent 35 years as an elementary educator, encountering a handful of autistic kids integrated into my lessons over the years, always supported by aides and experts managing the tougher aspects. But facing my grandson like that, I understood I had barely scratched the surface of what it meant to truly navigate life with it. "Hey, Tavon," I murmured gently. "Want to head indoors?" He avoided my gaze, stayed rooted, just swayed. I lifted his duffel. It felt too empty for even a short visit. I swung the door wider, paused. After a bit, Tavon stepped by, me into the home, hands still shielding his ears. The fridge buzzed softly. He winced. The furnace kicked in with a soft whir. He clamped his hands firmer against his head. I shut the door with the utmost care. He was already in the family room, huddled in the nook near the bookcase. "You hungry?" I inquired. "Nothing." "Thirsty?" He swayed quicker. I headed to the kitchen, filled water into a bright blue plastic mug I reserved for his occasional stops. Those stops were infrequent, perhaps a couple times annually, always brief. I carried the mug to him, placed it on the ground a safe distance away. He halted swaying, eyed the mug, then resumed. That initial evening was tougher. I prepared fish sticks and chips for supper since Bianca had mentioned once that's what he preferred. Tavon glanced at the dish and averted his face. I attempted rice. "No." I tried a wrap. He slid it away. "What would you like?" I asked. He emitted a deep hum from his throat and gazed at the wall. I offered him pretzels. He consumed 4. Bedtime turned into chaos. I attempted to assist with toothbrushing, and he shrieked, not sobbing, but a piercing wail as if in pain. I retreated, and he quieted, though trembling. "All right," I said. "All right, we can pass on it this evening." I settled him in the spare bedroom, draped the cover over him in the manner I recalled children enjoying. He flung it aside. I tried once more. He wailed. I left the cover folded at the bed's end and withdrew from the space. He remained awake. I heard his humming through the night, that steady low tone repeating. I lay sleepless too. Saturday dawn, I dialed Bianca. No response. Left a voicemail. "Bianca, sweetheart, get back to me. I need details on what Tavon likes to eat, his daily habits." She didn't return the call. I tried again that evening, Sunday morning, Sunday night. Silence. A week stretched to 2. I brought Tavon to the family doctor. The physician affirmed my suspicions. He's on the autism spectrum. "Ms. Owos, Tate, has anyone discussed formal assessment with you?" His mom was meant to take care of that. The doctor inclined his head thoughtfully. "Well, it's in your hands now. I signed him up for sessions. Language therapy, motor skills, conduct guidance. I discovered he required identical breakfast daily. Fried eggs, bread sliced diagonally, Items separated on the dish. I learned the drive to sessions must follow the precise path or he'd cry out in the vehicle. I learned to avoid contact unless he started it. I became adept at observing rather than intervening. 2 weeks post Tavon's arrival, I spotted him in the family room at sunrise. He was on the rug with a container of model trains I'd purchased, aligning them in a flawless line but not haphazardly. He'd sorted them by hue, though in a pattern I didn't grasp initially. I settled on the sofa and observed. Blue train, then one subtly more teal, then deeper teal, then green, then greener, and so forth. A spectrum so fine I strained to discern the shifts. He'd arranged them by tone impeccably. "That's incredible, Tavon," I remarked. He didn't glance my way but continued sorting. December arrived, Bianca still silent. I shifted tactics with Tavon. I ceased urging eye contact, quit pressing for speech. I simply ensured consistency daily. Identical meal, identical schedule, identical programs on the television, identical evening ritual he'd eventually accepted, which involved me bidding goodnight from the threshold. He settled, not joyful, but less agitated. He'd join me in the family room as I read. He'd consume meals without rejection. On Christmas Eve, I baked ginger snaps. Tavon didn't assist, but he perched at the counter observing as I shaped them. The kitchen filled with scents of spice and warmth. The phone buzzed. I snatched it, hopeful. Bianca, Mama. Her tone was dull, exhausted. Bianca, thank heavens. When will you retrieve him? He misses you. I need answers. I can't manage this forever, Mama. I froze. What? He's your responsibility. I gave it a shot. I truly did, but it's too much. Her voice wavered. I simply can't. Bianca, hold on. The connection severed. I redialed. Endless rings, no pickup. I tried again. Answering machine. I lingered in the kitchen, receiver in grip, the snaps charring in the oven, wisps of smoke rising. I switched off the heat, extracted the pan. The snaps were scorched. I slumped to the tiles, back to the cupboard. Tavon emerged in the entry. He regarded me for an extended moment, longer than ever before. Then he approached the counter, grasped the blue mug I'd offered that first day, and placed it beside me on the floor. I eyed the mug, then him. He returned to the family room. I wept there on the kitchen tiles amid a burnt baking sheet and a blue plastic mug. The following years merged into one another. I maintained absolute consistency for Tavon. Identical breakfast each dawn, eggs and bread, identical paths for all outings, identical bedtime, identical patterns, identical all. With steadiness he managed. Not thrilled, perhaps, but stable. At 6, he fixated on a collection of magnetic numbers I'd acquired. He'd position them on the fridge for hours. Not equations, designs, clusters, sequences beyond my comprehension. Then he began sketching icons in small pads from the discount shop. Dots, strokes, dashes, recording something only he knew. During a session, I inquired about it. He draws these everywhere. Is it concerning? The specialist, a compassionate lady named Dr. Carmen, shook her head. He's mapping his environment. It grounds him. Allow it. So, I did. He completed pad after pad with his icons and notations. By 7, the icons evolved to letters. Then brief terms, egg, bread, class, house, basic items, but in precise square script. At 8, he composed complete phrases, schedules, meals, destinations, events. He mastered brief eye contact, quick glimpses. He endured the market if we shopped at the exact hour weekly. He realized I wouldn't abandon him, wouldn't alter without notice. One spring morning at 8, I prepared breakfast. Eggs, bread, routine as ever. Tavon sat at the counter with his pad, jotting. Why did Mama go? I almost fumbled the utensil. I pivoted. Tavon focused on his pad, not me, but he'd voiced it. 3 years of near quiet, then isolated words, now this, a complete query. I took a seat opposite. She said it was overwhelming. He dipped his head once, noted something in his pad, resumed gazing at the sheet. I rose, completed the meal, set his dish before him. Then I retreated to the restroom and wept silently. He'd communicated. He'd posed the query I struggled to resolve, but I offered honesty. That's what I could provide. Honesty. And eggs and bread each morning in the same blue mug. That's my offering. It had to suffice. A year after Tavon's initial words to me, the Academy contacted with an issue. It was September 2014. Tavon was 9, entering 4th level. I believed we'd surpassed the roughest phases. He spoke in full statements now, dined in the lunch hall without breakdowns, even volunteered answers occasionally. Advancement. Then, Director Stanley proposed relocation. Ms. Tate, we must address Tavon's assignment, he stated via call. Fresh instructor this term, Mrs. Denise, who'd appeared warm at intro, I'd felt optimistic. What's the matter? I queried. I queried. Tavon would thrive better in our exceptional needs unit. The peers advance at varying speeds. I clutched the receiver. Tavon matches the curriculum. It's not scholarly. It's conduct related. He avoids team exercises. He skips gaze during group circles. Yesterday he shielded his ears in song session due to volume. He faces sensory hurdles. Ms. Tate, our setup caters to youth like Tavon. It'd reduce strain for all, reduce strain for the educator, he implied. I demand an IEP session, I declared. We can schedule that. But this week, quiet. Then my aide will reach out. I devoted 3 days readying, duplicated every grade report, every session update, every record I'd filed, and in binders. Tavon's literacy exceeded peers. His arithmetic led by 2 years. His penmanship was meticulous and orderly, each character flawlessly shaped. The issue wasn't inability to absorb. The issue was absorbing uniquely. The session occurred Friday afternoon in the Academy's meeting space, dual glaring overhead lamps droning. Director Stanley positioned at the table's end. Mrs. Denise beside him, Academy counselor, exceptional aide overseer, all with dossiers. I possessed one dossier, but substantial. Appreciate your presence, Ms. Tate. Director Stanley noted, we seek Tavon's optimal path, as do I. Mrs. Denise spoke initially, gentle timbre, empathetic grin. Tavon is a kind child, but social hurdles persist. He isolates from classmates. In collaborative tasks, he works solo. He declines involvement. Does he complete assignments? I probed. She faltered. Yes, but learning transcends papers. It's collaboration, exchange. He's autistic. Exchange challenges him, but he strives. The exceptional ed overseer, a lady named Ms. Tamara, advanced. Our support area provides compact environment, reduced interruptions. Peers who grasp his obstacles. Peers lagging academically, I stated. That's not Tavon. Director Stanley employed that administrative tone, one I knew from my classroom eras. Logical, tolerant, patronizing. We get you prefer Tavon in standard setting, but we must weigh all youth's needs. You're implying Tavon disrupts, I said. Not disrupts per se, then what's the concern? Ms. Tamara unveiled her dossier. Tavon's social evaluation indicates major lags. His intellect exam was undetermined. He skipped multiple parts, because timed, stressing him. His specialist noted that, which loops to our stance. Director Stanley said, Tavon requires aid we can't offer in typical class. I accessed my dossier, extracted the premier record. Here's Tavon's reading analysis from last month. 97% at 7th level, subsequent record, math eval, 100% fifth material. I continued extracting sheets piled before Director Stanley. These are session logs detailing advances in language, mood control, sensory endurance. He's progressed beyond forecasts in 4 years, not via isolated space with minimal hopes, because folks trusted his potential. Mrs. Denise appeared uneasy. It's not hopes. Yes, it is. You desire him elsewhere as he unsettles you, as he doesn't enact typical as you define typical. Silence enveloped the space. Director Stanley coughed. Ms. Tate, I sense your irritation. Per idea, Tavon merits the least limiting setup. That entails standard class with fitting aids, not isolation for difference. I regretted isolation, but politeness fatigued me. We're not proposing isolation, Ms. Tamara interjected swiftly, merely suitable venue. Then supply aids in his present class, sound-blocking earphones for songs, added transition periods, calm spot for overload. That's adjustment, not relocation. They exchanged glances. Director Stanley exhaled. We'll outline an IEP with those adjustments, he conceded at last. But if Tavon persists in difficulty, he won't. I couldn't guarantee, but surrendering wasn't solution. That night, I arrayed all session notes over the kitchen counter, began filing into a ringed organizer. Hue-coded dividers for health, schooling, sessions, official. My fingers recalled this from teaching years. Tavon entered from the family room. He'd viewed his program, the identical installment every Friday. His blue mug rested on the ledge where he invariably placed it. He stood observing my efforts. What are you up to? He inquired. His dialogue had strengthened over the year, smoother, ensuring the Academy can't overlook your capabilities. He approached, scanned the documents. May I assist? I eyed him. Certainly. We collaborated an hour. I demonstrated my method. He examined it, then indicated the session divider. These ought to sort by date, then category. Language distinct from motor, distinct from conduct. I noted his point. He was accurate. Superior logic. Demonstrate, I said. He reorganized the whole part in 10 minutes, devised a method I hadn't conceived, rational and pristine and ideal. I observed his labor, hands swift, utterly absorbed. He grasped arrangement at a depth I'd never attain. Design and framework and sequence. It flowed innately to him like respiration to others. That's excellent, Tavon, I said upon completion. He assented. No grin, but satisfaction evident. The ensuing year at 10, his language specialist proposed a device for dialogue aid, to input when verbalizing proved arduous. I accumulated funds and got him one for his celebration. He mastered it swiftly. In a week, he installed a digitizing tool, began capturing images of his pad pages, forming electronic versions. I watched his process, systematic and intent, safeguarding all he'd inscribed. Why that? I queried. To prevent loss, he replied, screen-bound. At caregiver gatherings for sessions, other guardians posed queries over beverages. How do you encourage Tavon's compliance? Your trick? How manage outbursts? I don't manage him, I responded. I heed him. One lady, Carmen, whose child was 7 and silent, shook her head. But how remain so composed, Ayer? I pondered. I suppose I ceased forcing him into another mold. I aimed to comprehend his essence. She regarded me as if I'd uttered wisdom, but it wasn't. It was merely effective. Tavon began detecting designs ubiquitously. That year en route, he'd comment, "The signal at Elm Avenue is off sync. It lingers red 45 seconds beyond others." I lacked verification. At the market, he'd inspect the bill and highlight a cost mistake. The pairs overcharged by 3 cents from display. Accurate always. Once at a guardian instructor meeting that autumn, Director Stanley beamed while detailing Tavon's growth, but his gaze stayed distant, chilly. In the car, Tavon said, "He dislikes me." What? No, dear. He was cordial. His expression faltered, the beam mismatched. I glanced at Tavon. He gazed outward, face neutral. What do you imply? Genuine smiles crinkle eye muscles. His lacked, feigned. I drove wordlessly. Tavon 10 deciphered expressions superior to me. By 11, entering 5th, I thought we'd established flow. Then Mrs. Curtis phoned me midday. "Ms. Tate," Tavon interrupted lesson today. My gut sank. What occurred? I instructed fractions. Tavon arose and amended me publicly. Was he correct? Hesitation. Irrelevant. Precisely relevant. Was he? Yes. Then aiding. Ms. Tate, he shamed me. He must learn timing. He's 11. Spots error. Amends it. His mind functions thus. Another guardian session. Another document heap. Now they sought defiant label. I presented half-year session records. Dr. Carmen's reviews indicating Tavon wasn't rebellious. He was straightforward, factual. He ignored social ladders deeming elders infallible despite errors. He's not rude, I clarified to the counselor. He's truthful. Distinction exists. They relented. Marginally. That evening, Tavon queried over supper. Why do they desire my change? I laid my utensil. What mean? Instructors, peers, all want non-me actions. No solid reply. Not truly as they fear those perceiving deeper, I uttered eventually. He mulled, assented once, resumed dining. Weeks later, he requested his birth record. Why need? I probed. Want view. I retrieved from cabinet. He examined extensively, then sought enrollment forms, ID card, name-bearing items. You fine? I asked. Mom-related? Just want confirmed presence. I figured processing abandonment, grasping life via records, logical for categorizing youth. I aided digitizing all into device. Birth docs, health logs, every official paper from storage. He preserved meticulously, duplicated, labeled folders obscurely. What constructing? I queried once. Framework, he said, against loss. I pecked his crown. Okay, kiddo. What aids? I assumed past coping. Unaware future prep. That future emerged. Summer Tavon hit 12. He digitized docs months, structuring in device with undisturbed focus. But June 2017, new discovery, programming. I found him at counter one noon with my aide, Notebook agape eyeing text jumble. Rows of terms, signs, braces. What doing? I asked. Studying Java. No glance. What's Java? Coding tongue. Tutorial guided. I peered over. Display showed vars, funcs, cycles. Incomprehensible. School? No. Desire learn. I departed. Effective with Tavon. Pursue passions. He devoted summer to notebook. Peers at soccer or lake, Tavon coded. I'd deliver midday meal, he'd nibble screen fixed. Blue mug beside, water half, forgotten. By August, displaying creations. Small apps for tasks obscure. This organizes by time, he detailed. This detects copies. This verifies alterations. Impressive, Tavon, assent typed on. September, I expended final reserves on superior machine. Genuine, not sluggish relic. Deserved. Store clerk inquired use. Coding. Tavon stated, age? 12, clerk grinned. Prime start, far ahead. Tavon silent, waited payment, home, installed in chamber. Promised meal emergence, restful sleep. Agreed. But mind elsewhere in code, realm I couldn't access. October Eve, summoned me. Show something. I perched bed edge. He launched app. What? Observe. Opened file, basic text, few lines. Executed app. Digits emerged. Lengthy sequences. File imprint, like print. Okay, I said, not grasping. He reopened altered term. Saved, re-executed. New digits. See? Imprint shifted. Indicates edit. Detect modifications. Yes. Plus when, how, often. Eyed me. Brief contact. Ensures authenticity. I recalled academy disputes, admins claiming shifts. Wished evidence. Brilliant, Tavon. Back to display. Mere design detection. Virtual over tangible, mere detection, as if insignificant. Next year at 13, venture grew. Digitize binders all, he declared breakfast. Academy notes total. I eyed over tea. Much scanning. Legal done. No, but want system whole. What system? Constructing. Against loss or tamper. I considered. Binders held battles, advocacy, evidence. Tavon exceeded assumptions. Okay, I said, you scan. Back aches, hours bent. Weeks ensued. I'd extract binders, he'd image page by page. IEP 2014, session evals 2012, grades, updates, incidents, every sheet narrating Tavon. Not mere imaging. Added invisible layers computer side. What adding? I queried. Timestamps, checks, hashes, paused. Docs link chain like, alter link, chain fractures. Why alter? He eyed. Why Director Stanley attempt relocate at 9? Valid. Protects truth, I said. Yes, I observed. This youth nonverbal 7 years prior, vacuum screaming, gaze avoiding. Now crafting incomprehensible, potent. Proud, I said. Assent once. Scanned on. Bond evolved. Sparse words sufficed. I'd speak, he'd assent. He'd display code. I'd affirm good. Supper nightly. Same hour, seats. Blue mug right of dish. Ease. That's it. Ease quiet with comprehending soul. No need noise fill. He reached 14th November 2018. Afternoon. Queried keepsakes from arrival era. Like, bills, planners, accounts, 2010-2011. I furrowed. Why want? Just view. Guided to shed. Displayed unthrown crates. I'm keeper. Age taxes, utilities. Accounts decade plus. Planners crammed notations. Kept all? He asked. Taught young? Retain all. He rifled. Extracted 2010 planner, November, traced dates. Why this? I asked. Need real events, not claims. What transpired? I sat crate. Mom concerned. No immediate reply. Planner eyed. My script day. Bianca delivered. After days, try wraps. Dial Bianca. Doc visit. Need chronology, he said eventually. When occurred, real. Chest constricted. Processing desertion. Absent years. Unanswered. Can image all, I said. What requires? We hauled indoors. Month imaging market slips. Accounts no Bianca funds. Calls proving no contact. Planners logging routine life. Daily ordinary proving absence. I thought childhood timeline building. Data healing. Why market slips? I queried, eyeing faded 2011. Dates, locations, purchases, proof. Proof what? Occurred, real, no press. If heel needed, I'd aid. Later nights that year, I'd retire 10, hear keys through wall. Midnight, I'd rise, prep sandwich or fruit, desk leave wordless. Thanks, murmur, screen-bound. Nights, 2-3 awake, door light. Tavon, rest, I'd say. Nearly. Never nearly. February night, T1, a.m. Chamber chill. 3 displays, code, docs, info varied. What creating? I asked. He halted, turned. Tool aids discern real versus false, actual versus claimed. Vital to you, yes, because of your mama. He thought about that for a moment, because folks lie, and sometimes you need proof. I kissed the top of his head. His curls needed trimming. Don't stay up all night, I told him. I won't, he said. He did anyway. I just didn't understand what he was really building. I thought he was healing from the past. I didn't know he was forging armor for the future. Some mornings I'd find him asleep at his desk, forehead on his arms, monitor still glowing. I'd lay a blanket over his shoulders and start breakfast. An hour later, he'd walk into the kitchen like nothing had happened. I was so proud of him, proud of his dedication, his brilliance, his drive to create something meaningful. He'd request me occasionally to trial his apps, tap this icon, inform if the hues appeared correct, if the phrases resonated. I lacked comprehension of its functions, but I could confirm if it seemed polished. Does it function? I'd inquire. Yes. Then why persist? Enhancing it. Eternally superior. Eternally more precise. Eternally another trial, another confirmation, another method to validate authenticity versus fabrication. I viewed it as merely a venture, something remarkable for university submissions one day. I possessed no inkling of its genuine construction. What he constructed emerged as something folks would invest millions in. Tavon was 15 upon completion. Spring 2020, amid the outbreak. The globe shuttered, all existing digitally. Tavon scarcely registered the shift. He'd dwelled in his chamber with his machines for ages already. I wish to display something, he uttered one midday in May. I trailed him to his space. 3 displays all revealing varied interfaces. He launched an app with a sleek, uncomplicated layout. No frills, merely fields and controls and script. This is it, he declared. The authentication framework, what performs. He navigated panels exhibiting capabilities I partially grasped. It scrutinizes files, detects alterations, creation times, if imprints align with verified specimens. It exposes counterfeits. I observed the app process a sample file. Figures materialized, charts, evaluation outcomes. So if someone fabricates a file, this exposes it. Yes, the embedded data, the electronic imprints, the designs, it perceives what humans overlook. That's astounding, Tavon, he assented. I'm planning to market it to whom? Protection firms, scam deterrents, any entity requiring file verification as genuine. He expressed it so factually, as if evident. My 15-year-old was set to vend software to enterprises. Do you comprehend the process? I queried. I've investigated. Naturally, he had. He commenced contacting firms that month, dispatched correspondences with formal tone. I assisted refinement, though his straightforward composition was sharper than most corporate exchanges I'd encountered. The initial transaction arrived in June. A modest protection agency acquired a permit for $20,000. I gaped at the figure on the display when Tavon revealed it. $20,000. It's below value, he noted, but it's validation. Now a patron exists. He was correct. Once buzz spread of its efficacy, additional firms sought presentations. Tavon conducted virtual meetings in his chamber. That identical serene tone he employed with me, elucidating complex ideas, sans simplification. I'd eavesdrop from the corridor. Occasionally he'd articulate phrases like, the process contrasts hash codes across various authentication strata. And somehow the executives on the line comprehended or feigned. He reached D16 in November 2020. By January 2021, he secured 6 additional patrons and sufficient funds in his ledger to cover higher education twofold. Then substantial bids emerged. Tech conglomerates desired sole privileges. Enterprise fraud mitigation groups aimed to permit it for their full systems. The sums escalated from thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions. I require assistance. Tavon stated in February, I lack contract assessment skills. I located a corporate attorney via a contact, Jalen Nakamura, expert in proprietary rights and app permitting. He convened with us on a Saturday dawn at our dining counter, arrayed 3 distinct contract proposals. These are all considerable, he remarked, eyeing Tavon. You've crafted something precious. Tavon assented. Which optimal? Jalen guided him through choices, permitting arrangements yielding over periods, buyout bids acquiring the app wholly. Tavon attended, posed precise inquiries on stipulations and provisions and entitlements. I desire full sale, Tavon declared ultimately. I shun managing permits or maintenance or revisions. Just vend and conclude. Jalen appeared astonished. Certain? Permitting might yield more enduringly. A no-rival provision in the buyout, Tavon noted. If I vend, I can't craft rival authentication apps for 5 years. That's customary, Jalen remarked. Does it trouble? No, I've concluded this app type. I glanced at him. He uttered it so resolutely as if he'd already mapped subsequent. He vended in March for $3.2 million, $3.2 million. I couldn't fathom that sum. I'd labored 35 years educating and earned perhaps half pre-deductions. The regional broadcast learned somehow. Desired a feature on the area autistic youth who'd devised groundbreaking protection app. I rejected their entry to our residence, rejected them transforming Tavon into motivational fodder, but he consented. The journalist, a youthful lady named Denise, arrived on a Thursday midday. She positioned in our family area, inquired if she could capture Tavon at his machine. Can you detail your app's function? She queried. It authenticates file genuineness via design detection and embedded data scrutiny, Tavon stated, gazing at the lens as he'd gaze at anyone. Forthright. It exposes counterfeits humans overlook. What inspired creation? I stiffened, but Tavon replied plainly. I sought to discern authenticity. Folks deceive. Files don't if you comprehend proper reading. Denise beamed. That's profound. Plans for the funds? Not presently. She attempted additional queries, but Tavon's responses were concise, factual, not the heartfelt personal angle she sought. After 20 minutes, she expressed gratitude and departed. The piece broadcast on Friday evening broadcast. Area Youth devises groundbreaking protection app. They utilized perhaps 2 minutes of the dialogue, appended dramatic score, displayed Tavon at his machine appearing intent and ingenious. I viewed it with him. How feel? I queried upon conclusion. All right. But I observed something post-days. He wasn't rejoicing, lacked thrill over funds or spotlight or forthcoming. He was merely awaiting, observing. I'd spot him gazing through the pane occasionally or perched at the dining counter with his blue mug, not sipping, merely clutching it. You all right? I'd query. Yeah, but he wasn't. Something altered, some strain I couldn't identify. 2 weeks post-broadcast, the entry bell chimed on a Tuesday midday. I anticipated none. Tavon was in his chamber. I unlatched the door, and there they stood. A lady in a charcoal ensemble, lavish appearance, tresses impeccable. A gentleman beside in a somber ensemble, toting a hide portfolio. The lady grinned. It missed her gaze. Hi, Mama. My gut plummeted, my palms chilled. Bianca. She appeared aged, 11 years aged. Creases near her lips, strain in her mandible, but her. Tavon, she uttered, peering beyond me into the dwelling. I couldn't shift, couldn't articulate, my form had forgotten. I'm Stanley Walsh, the gentleman uttered. Ms. Tate's counsel, we'd like to converse regarding Tavon's circumstance. His circumstance? I uttered. Bianca's grin tightened. May we enter? This matters. I ought to have declined, ought to have sealed the entry, but I petrified. Tavon materialized behind me in the passage. He eyed Bianca, his countenance utterly neutral, no astonishment, no feeling nil. He merely observed her as he'd observed transit designs or cost flaws. Analytical computing. Enter, he uttered. My limbs shifted sans consent. I retreated. They entered my dwelling, Bianca and her counsel, and I felt ill. We perched at the dining counter, the identical counter where Tavon and I dined morning meals, where we'd file academy session logs and digitize files and plotted his tomorrow. Now Bianca perched there, palms clasped, while her counsel unveiled his portfolio. Ms. Tate, we're present to address guardianship and fiscal oversight, he uttered. Expert, fluid, rehearsed. My patron, Bianca Tate, has preserved maternal entitlements to Tavon and desires to recommence active guardianship. Guardianship? I uttered. He's 16 exactly, Walsh uttered. Still underage, and my patron never officially relinquished maternal entitlements. She's co-raised remotely, preserving contact via suitable means. That's falsehood, I uttered. My tone trembled. She hasn't contacted in 11 years. Bianca spoke then, gentle tone, mournful gaze that appeared contrived. Mama, I recognize you've performed splendid rearing Tavon, but he requires his mama now, particularly with the funds and spotlight. He requires direction. He possesses direction. Walsh extracted documents, files with formal-appearing emblems and inscriptions. These demonstrate Miss Tate's preserved legal maternal entitlements. She's recorded her monetary aid and exchanges over the eras. She's qualified for guardianship and given Tavon's underage status, administration of his fiscal holdings until maturity. I eyed the documents. They appeared authentic, expert. My pulse thundered. Those are counterfeit, I uttered. But I lacked evidence. They're duly certified and submitted, Walsh uttered serenely, unless you can validate otherwise. I eyed Tavon. He was observing Bianca, his countenance still neutral, but I perceived something in his gaze, something undecipherable. Tavon, I uttered softly. What? Proceed. He eyed me briefly, then back at Bianca. We ought to secure counsel, he uttered. Securing counsel proved simpler than employing one. I located Tamara Reyes via referral family law counsel with 20 years' expertise. She convened with us 3 days post Bianca's arrival, came to our dwelling as I couldn't confront an office. I brought every organizer I possessed, years of academy logs, session notes, health visits, every sheet validating I'd reared Tavon. My palms quivered the whole duration I transported them to the dining counter. Tavon perched silently in the seat beside me, observing, eternally observing. Tamara arrayed Bianca's files across the counter, the ones Walsh had displayed. She examined them over an hour, perusing every leaf, verifying inscriptions, inspecting the emblems. Ultimately, she gazed up. Her expression conveyed all prior to utterance. These appear valid, she uttered cautiously. Very expertly executed, but they're counterfeit, I uttered. She's deceiving. She hasn't viewed him in 11 years. I trust you, but possess solid evidence these files are forged? I extracted my organizers. I possess all. Every academy session, every health visit, every session gathering. Tamara perused them, assented gradually. This is superb recording. It validates you've been chief guardian, but Ms. Tate saw firm proof that her files are fraudulent. A magistrate might decree for her. Why? As she never lawfully relinquished maternal entitlements. No tribunal log of guardianship shift. Institutions and physicians accepted you casually. But she halted. Did you ever submit for official oversight? The space chilled. I didn't deem necessary. She deserted him. I comprehend, but lawfully. Sans records of that desertion. Sans her endorsing relinquishment entitlements. She's still his guardian on record. Tamara's tone was tender yet resolute. Her counsel will contend casual setup doesn't supersede maternal entitlements. I couldn't inhale, so she can simply claim him. She's not attempting physical guardianship. He's 16. Tribunals seldom compel adolescents to relocate. She's pursuing fiscal oversight, command of his holdings until 18. 3.2 million. That's the essence. Can we contest? I queried. Yes, but comprehend. Her argument appears robust. She possesses records, a persuasive tale about preserving engagement remotely. Unless we validate those files fraudulent, we'll forfeit. Tamara didn't dispute. I eyed Tavon. He perched utterly motionless, palms clasped on the counter, countenance neutral. He avoided my gaze. Tevin, I uttered softly. Comprehend events? Yes. Frightened? He pondered. No. How not frightened? I was horrified. Tamara detailed subsequent phases. Statements, disclosure, tribunal dates. It would consume weeks, perhaps months. Throughout, Bianca's assertion would loom. Post her departure, I perched at the dining counter and collapsed. We're losing you, I uttered amid sobs. Post everything, post 11 years, we're losing. Tavon rose, uttered nil, merely strode to his chamber and sealed the door. I desired him to assure it'd be fine, to display emotion, fear, anything, but he abandoned me there. I wept solo at the counter an hour. The statements commenced 2 weeks on. Bianca first. She perched in the meeting space at her counsel's firm, impeccably poised, coiffure styled, cosmetics understated, donning a gentle ash knit that rendered her maternal. Walsh posed queries. She responded fluidly. Can you depict your engagement in Tavon's existence past 11 years? I've strived for steady contact, she uttered. Her tone stable, warm, remorseful. I journeyed monthly when feasible, dispatched monetary aid via transfers, dialed routinely to monitor his advancement. Why not retain physical oversight? I deemed superior for Tavon to possess constancy with my mama while I managed personal trials, but I never ceased maternal. I never ceased concern. She supplied dates, precise months she asserted visits, exact sums she allegedly dispatched. December 2012, $300. April 2014, $500. Onward, a thorough monetary log of aid that never transpired. I perched listening, nails embedding palms. Ms. Tate, why pursue guardianship now? Walsh queried. As Tavon possesses substantial holdings needing proper administration, and as he nears maturity, I desire presence for this vital shift to direct him to compensate lost periods. She eyed me uttering it. Mournful gaze, regretful grin. I desired to yell, desired to label her deceiver publicly, but Tamara had cautioned, remain composed, don't respond, permit her narrative. Post Bianca's conclusion, Tamara pulled me aside. Her account detailed uniform. That's persuasive to magistrates. All deceptions. I comprehend but can validate? I couldn't. Tavon's statement 3 days on. Walsh queried on his youth, Mama recollections, her engagement. Recall Mama visiting? Walsh queried. I don't recollect specific journeys. Recall her calls? I'd need records check. Monetary aid? Aware she dispatched funds? I don't recall receiving from her. Walsh appeared satisfied. He deemed Tavon's recall weak, bolstering Bianca's tale she'd engaged. But Tavon, autistic, merely lacked clear recall. He lacked notion. Tamara posed Tavon queries too. Depict bond with Grandma? She cares, prepares meals, aids academy, always present. Desire reside with her? Yes. Desire Mama fiscal control? No. Concise responses. Forthright. True. But seemed feeble versus Bianca's elaborate deceptions. Post-statement, Tamara transported us home. He performed well, she uttered. But Missy Tate, honesty, sounds evidence validating, Bianca's files forged. This challenges. How challenging? Might forfeit. That evening I lay sleepless. I reclined gazing ceiling, pondering Tavon claimed, Bianca commanding funds, him 18 freeing, but those 2 years eternal. At $3,000 dawn, I rose, spotted glow under Tavon's door. I unlatched softly. He at machine. 3 displays illuminated. Code lines scrolled one interface, files and info filled others. Tavon, 3,000 dawn, he avoided pivot. I know need rest. Tribunal tomorrow. Nearly complete. Complete what? He persisted typing. My logs. I approached, saw grids with dates, folders with labels. I recognized my accounts, planner entries, call logs. Tavon, I don't know proceed, I uttered. Tone fractured. Don't know contest. He halted typing, avoided pivot. Just utter truth tomorrow, he uttered softly. That's sole requirement, truth insufficient. She possesses files, evidence, counterfeit evidence, but evidence. Utter truth, he reiterated. I desired to jolt him for comprehension of gravity, but he perched, serene, intent, as if losing me irrelevant. I returned bed, sleepless, reclined in gloom, horrified. Tavon remained at machine all night. I heard keys till sunrise. I lacked notion what he performed. I merely knew imminent loss, powerless halt. Dawn arrived, desired or not. I rose $6,000, prepared meal, neither consumed. Tavon exited chamber at 7, bathed, attired in the formal shirt we'd acquired for tribunal. He appeared beyond 16, fatigued, but serene. Prepared? I queried. Yes. We drove tribunal silently. My palms quivered on wheel. Tavon gazed window. Tamara met on steps. Recall, compose. Permit me speak. Tavon respond direct, no extra info. Tavon assented. The chamber smaller than anticipated. Timber walls, overhead lamps, odor of aged sheets and wax. Magistrate Curtis perched at dais. A lady in 50s with keen gaze and ash tresses retracted. Bianca at 4, counter with Walsh. She attired meticulously, mild hues, sparse adornments, tresses free. She appeared concerned, Mama. We perched our counter. Tamara one side me, Tavon other. All rise, the officer uttered. Proceeding commenced. Walsh rose, displayed case fluidly. Bianca Tate, dedicated Mama, preserved steady engagement despite personal hurdles. Recorded proof of maternal entitlements unrelinquished, monetary aid supplied, routine contact preserved. He positioned files on proof counter, guardianship documents, joint rearing packs, monetary logs, all counterfeit, all persuasive. Magistrate Curtis examined meticulously, unhurried. Then eyed Bianca, Ms. Tate. Depict engagement in Tavon's existence past 11 years? Bianca's tone stable, warm. I strived connection maximally honor. I journeyed when able, dispatched funds for care, dialed routinely for advancement. Why not physical oversight? Deemed superior Tavon constancy with Mama while addressed issues, but never deserted. Never ceased Mama. She uttered with conviction, sincerity. I desired scream. Magistrate posed more. Bianca responded all. December 2013, journeyed to Vaughn's celebration. April 2015, dispatched $500 session expenses. May 2017, dialed Academy progress. Deceptions. All deceptions, but detailed, uniform deceptions. Magistrate Curtis appeared reflective. Gratitude, Ms. Tate. Then Tamara's phase. She displayed my organizers, years Academy gatherings, session logs, health visits, every evidence I'd reared to solo. But as she proceeded, I perceived Magistrate's look. Empathy, but skepticism. Ms. Reyes, Magistrate Curtis uttered, these logs show Ms. Tate chief guardian, but lack official oversight records, no tribunal directive shifting guardianship, no legal maternal entitlement relinquishment. My torso constricted. Honor, Tamara uttered cautiously. Bianca Tate deserted Tavon at 5. My patron possesses desertion records, but sans Bianca Tate's inscription on entitlement relinquishment documents. Sans legal records, her maternal entitlements intact. Magistrate eyed me, not harshly. Ms. Tate, comprehend excellent rearing grandson, but lawfully, sauna-proof Mama deserted entitlements. Her assertion stands. Space tilted. Bianca eyed Walsh, grinned faintly. She deemed victory in my pulse, pounded couldn't inhale. I eyed Tavon beside, desperate anything. His countenance utterly neutral, undecipherable. I bent close, murmured, she's deceiving, must halt. He pivoted, head slightly, murmured back, permit her speak. What? Permit her utter all desired. I lacked comprehension. We forfeiting. And he desired Bianca persist. Magistrate Curtis eyed Tavon. Youth, wish speak? Extended pause. Tavon perched motionless, then rose. Yes, honor. Possess evidence. My pulse halted. What evidence? I'd supplied Tamara all. Approach, Magistrate Curtis uttered. Tavon lifted satchel I overlooked him toting. Strode to stand, serene, steady, as if hundredfold. He extracted portable. May link this display, honor? Magistrate Curtis astonished. What displaying? File authenticity verification and chronology evidence. He spoke lucidly, directly as eternal. I constructed framework proving files genuine or forged. Walsh rose instantly. Honor, highly atypical, uninformed this evidence. Your patron displayed fraudulent files 6 weeks prior, Tavon uttered, eyeing Walsh. I'm displaying scrutiny those now. Magistrate Curtis examined Tavon. Proceed, but relevant better. Tavon linked portable. Chamber display ignited. He launched Bianca's guardianship files first, Walsh's displayed. They materialized on interface, formal with emblems and inscriptions. These files assert 2011 through 2020, Tavon uttered. But electronic embedded data shows creation 6 weeks prior, post my sale broadcast. He navigated interfaces displaying creation dates, file attributes, revision history, all dated, all recent. Walsh contested. Embedded data manipulable. Not herein, Tavon uttered serenely. Inscription scrutiny shows extra inconsistencies. He launched my Tavon birth duplicate. Bianca's inscription 2005 then executed app scrutinizing inscriptions on guardianship files. Figures materialized. Contrasts, statistical scrutiny, pressure designs mismatch. Character shaping inconsistent. Spacing and angle differ. These inscriptions forged. Magistrate Curtis advanced. How no? Constructed authentication framework. Scrutinizes files authenticity. Sold last month. You're 16, Magistrate uttered. Yes. She blinked. Proceed. Tavon launched fresh interface chronology. These my logs. I've recorded existence since 9. He displayed grids, digitized files, images, all dated, all authenticated. Ms. Tate asserts visit December 2013. Here's Grandma's planner that month's schedule. Here photos that week dates. Here's session logs December 9th. Specialist confirmed no mama. Here's Academy presence log present daily that month. He navigated more interfaces. December 2013. Bianca absent. Ms. Tate asserts dispatch transfers. Here, 7 years Grandma's full accounts. No deposits Bianca Tate. Not Wall. Accounts materialized on interface. Every exchange marked. Every origin recorded. Nil from Bianca. Ms. Tate asserts dialed routinely. Here call firm logs 2010 present. 0 calls her number post, December 24th, 2010. Call logs years. Bianca's number absent. April 2015. Asserts dispatch $500 sessions. Here's account no deposit. Here's Grandma's planner out of pocket. Here's slip. Every assertion Bianca made. Tavon dismantled with evidence. Walsh rose again. Honor this evidence undisclosed disclosure because you displayed fraudulent files 6 weeks prior. Tavon uttered, I constructed authentication framework scrutinized, that's impossible. Walsh uttered, couldn't construct such 6 weeks. Didn't, Tavon uttered, built 7 years. Just concluded scrutinizing these specific 6 weeks prior. Magistrate Curtis gaped. Documented existence 7 years. Yes, honor. Every planner entry Grandma made, every slip kept, every session, every academy gathering, every account exchange, everything dated, cross-linked, authenticated. Framework renders retro alteration impossible, Dev. So when Ms. Tate says visited monthly, dispatch funds, dialed routinely, I validate. Didn't because possess evidence actual, real. Chamber silent. Magistrate Curtis eyed Bianca. Ms. Tate, explain inconsistencies. Bianca's countenance paled. She eyed Walsh. Embedded data erroneous, she uttered. Tone quivered. Dates might. Mean, did visit, did dispatch. When precisely? Magistrate queried. December 2013, recall. Possess evidence, slips, images, anything? Bianca faltered. Didn't retain logs, just was there. No, was. But possess detailed monetary logs transfers. Yes, mean those display. She disintegrating, self-contradicting. Confident, Mama 20 minutes prior vanished. Ms. Tate, Magistrate Curtis uttered coldly, did or did not fabricate guardianship files. No, mean counsel said. Walsh appeared ill. Magistrate Curtis pivoted Tavon. This authentication framework, legitimate. Yes, honor. Sold last month, Anderson Protection, $3.2 million. They authenticated accuracy pre-acquire. Magistrate's brows elevated. Then eyed evidence again, chronology proof Bianca absent, 11 years. Seen sufficient, she uttered. She decreed from dais, no break, no consultation. Bianca Tate, find testimony unreliable and records fraudulent. Full guardianship and oversight awarded Aubrey Tate. Moreover, referring case prosecutor for perjury and scam probe. Bianca emitted choke sound. Proceeding adjourned. Gavel struck. Concluded. Exterior tribunal in midday sun, I ultimately comprehended. You knew, I uttered. Protected us, eternal. Tavon assented once. No grin, mere assent. 6 months on, matters differ. Tavon couldn't labor data protection anymore. No rival provision from app sale clear, so initiated fresh firm, app evaluation and assurance. Hiring like me, he uttered over morning meal one dawn. Autistic folks perceive designs others overlook. His initial employee, Curtis. I recognized instantly. Curtis, my pupil, 20 years prior. I'd battled Academy panel for him 4th level. They uttered never employable. Now Tavon's chief evaluator. Then Jalen, then Denise, more prior pupils. Youth's folks surrendered. I visited Tavon's firm one midday. Compact area, 6 workstations, all earphones, quiet, intent. Curtis spotted, removed earphones. Ms. Tate, you informed director I wasn't defective, just unique. Tone cracked. Tavon echoes. I couldn't articulate, mere assent. Bianca received 2 years supervision and 500 hours service at Autism Aid Hub. 3 months in, I delivered contributed items and spotted her on tiles reading to silent youths. She gazed up, spotted me. We petrified. She appeared weary, modest, unlike lady with counsel. Hubhead, informed, unaware identity, that volunteer extra hours. Says learning overdue. I avoided Bianca dialogue, observed moment, departed. Some matters wordless. Tuesday evening weeks on, I delivered supper Tavon's residence as eternal. His blue mug on ledge, nicked but favored. We dined small counter, quiet ease. I commenced plate clearing. Tavon placed device. Aubrey. I pivoted. He eyed palms. No sacrifices for me. I reseated, awaited. Companions ceased calls, ceased outings. Heard you device once declining journey couldn't abandon me. Tavon could have dispatched like her, Academy suggested. Didn't. Throat constricted. Your grandson. No. He gazed up me, but chose daily, even couldn't thank. Quiet, mere fridge buzz. Mattered, he uttered softly. I extended across counter, palm near his, not contact but proximate. Worth every day, I uttered. He assented once. No, now. We perched moment longer. Then I rose, concluded dishes while he unveiled portable. Same pattern, same ease quiet, but vital uttered. I pecked crown departing. No wince. See Tuesday, I uttered. Tuesday, he affirmed. I drove residents through paths thousandfold. Same path, same curves. Way Tavon preferred, way I'd learned prefer too. Device buzzed, red signal, message Tavon. Thank you. Mere 2 words. I grinned entire route home. So, that's my tale. I'd adore your thoughts. If my position could forgive daughter deserting grandson, inform comments and subscribe more tales like mine.